Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Second Act Actors. I'm your host, Dr. Janet McMordie, and I'm still a medical doctor, simultaneously trying to pursue a career in acting. My guest this week is Eric Johnson. Eric is a first act actor. Got his start as a teenager in a little film called Legends of the Fall. Perhaps you've heard of it? Just a massive movie, okay? He has an incredible story to tell and a wonderful career. You know him from such iconic TV shows, films like Supernatural, Smallville, Flash Gordon, the 50 Shades trilogy. He was in the last two. The Nick. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite medical shows. He's done a lot of video games as well, Splinter Cell, Star Wars Outlaws. He's also in the upcoming Boys prequel called Vought Rising that he's actually filming in Toronto like as we speak. An incredible career. He has, like I said, an amazing story to tell. We get into a lot of really interesting things that I don't know if I've ever talked about on this show before. He is, as you will soon see, and as I now know, one of the nicest human beings I've ever had the pleasure of chatting to and meeting. And he plays a lot of really bad people. He is good at being a bad. And we talk about that, the mental toll that's taken on him and on, just kind of it coming into his life, seeping into his life and stuff like that. Being a bad guy on screen and doing a really good job at it. Please enjoy the incredibly lovely and talented Eric Johnson. I love to ask, just a loaded question off top.
Sure, hit me with just start with the big stuff.
It's the meaning of it. No, tell me your story. How did you get into this crazy business?
My story, I think, is pretty atypical in a way. I mean, I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, and very much working class family neighborhood. But I was a bit of a weird kid. I definitely. Didn't mind standing out and being the center of attention at times, and I loved being part of the school productions. Like I just gravitated towards that. And then there was a kid in my neighborhood who was older and went to like a summer camp, and their mom said, "You know what? I think Eric would really like this acting summer camp." And so my mom's like, yes, anything to get him out of the house, and sign me up for this 2-week summer camp. And it was just acting for kids. I was 9 years old, and I'm like, this is super fun. How do I do more of this? And they had year-long classes to sign up for in September. So I signed up at 9 years old, and we would do 5 hours every Saturday. And we would do a year-end performance in end of May, I think. So it was September through May. And then I just sort of stayed with that school, and it was great. I started moving up sort of into the more advanced programs, and I was one of the, I was like 11, 12 years old working with 16 and 17-year-olds, which was very weird. But I did my first professional theater show through that company when I was 11, and I missed a month of school, and that was sort of it. Like I'm like, anything that gets me out of school to do this is amazing. And shortly after that, I did a few small things in film and TV. And I think the big galvanizing moment is I was 14 and I got a small role in a film called Legends of the Fall. And that was like a galvanizing moment where, Hollywood was right there down the road in Calgary from where I grew up. It didn't feel so far away. It felt like a possibility. Like I'm doing this, and it's a Hollywood movie with Hollywood stars, and I'm doing it. So why can't I do this? It just felt possible. I was pretty naive about all the ins and outs of the business, but I just didn't ever come up with a plan B. It was just like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I love to do. So I'm going to focus on that. And, I've been very, very fortunate that that's been my life. That's been my career. I've been managed to be a working actor for 30 years now, and it's very rewarding. There's ups and downs. There's always new challenges. There's always years that you wish you were working more, and I think maybe that's the one thing is like you always want more. You're never satisfied. Like, the minute I wrap a production, is the minute I want something else. So it's like the hunger never goes away. I think that's the thing. But to answer your question, I was very fortunate to get to be introduced to it early, and then I just fell in love with it. And to be honest, my relationship with the industry and acting has changed and evolved over the years. And I think honestly now I've never been more in love with the craft and what it means and how it can impact the world and how it feels to be a part of it. So I'm equally as incredibly grateful to be doing it and still massively in love with it and excited about things like almost like I'm fresh to the game.
Why do you think that is? I mean, we talk to so many people, not just in acting, in any career, right? You kind of get a bit jaded. You go through it. It's not the sparkle that you thought it was. What keeps you so, I would say optimistic, but sure, yeah, optimistic about this?
Well, I think there's definitely ebbs and flows. There is dark moments, and I think honestly the thing that's kept me coming back is returning to being a student. Returning to a place of like, it's really easy to feel like you know everything. You've been around the block, you've seen lots of things, you've seen, I've gone through several strikes. I've gone through the dollar being too high, so nothing's shooting in Canada. I've gone through problems of trying to get my work visa to work in the States, and been through it so many times. It's easy to go like, well, I've seen this all before. But I remember I was working on a show, and I wasn't particularly enjoying myself. And I mean, it was like, this is like the ultimate actor champagne problem. I'm a series regular on a show, and that's the goal, that's the dream. And I wasn't happy, and I was feeling stunted or just blah. Like none of it felt good. And my wife gave me the present of classes at Second City, and I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this work. My schedule is all over the place, but I'd always talked about like doing improv classes at Second City and just had never done it. And then I went in there, and it was like literally improv for actors 101. And I was in there with people who had never acted before, and some people had done it in high school, and some people were already working as well. And just seeing what people were bringing to it, and then people discovering what made them uniquely funny. Like, it was about them being uniquely funny. And so it ended up being like actor therapy. Like, I would go there for I think it was like 2 hours every Wednesday or something like that, laugh my ass off at people discovering, their own genius. And I'm like, this is why I started doing this. And then recently it's just going back and getting into the books and as boring as it sounds, but it's like, going back and reading Meisner and Uta Hagen and all these things that I did when I was younger, but then coming at it at a different age, you hear it and you experience it and interpret it differently, so it lands differently. And lastly, to wrap up this very long answer to your question, I think as actors, as we get older, our instrument changes. We're not the same person. We're not the same person who started. The roles are going to be slightly different, and your life experience plays into what you're doing. So, I've found that the better I've come to know myself as I get older, the better I am able to bring nuances and depth to roles and scenes that I just didn't have that capacity before. It just wasn't in my wheelhouse. So I think for me, that's exciting. Like, it's like discovering like you got a whole new octave of keys on a piano.
Yeah. Yeah, and I find what's really interesting about acting specifically, maybe this is just me coming at it from in my other career in medicine, like you have to take courses always. You can't renew your license to be a doctor without a specific number of continuing medical education.
Yeah.
Where acting, it's like you don't need a certificate on the wall saying, congrats, you can now be an actor. You can just,
true.
Again, there's still people who are plucked out of obscurity and never done an acting class in their life and they become famous. So I find like, I don't know, I find it harder to kind of internally motivate to keep doing classes. Did you ever find that? Because like after a while you're like, no, I'm here. Like I've done all the learning. I'm the pro now.
Yeah, I think it's human nature too. It's like it's human nature to feel like we've crossed the finish line, like we've reached the goal. Like we're in the club now. Like shouldn't I should just be working all the time but I think it's naive. I think and I mean I think it's human nature to want to not, because it can be painful, right? Learning is hard. And I think because of what we do, there is no, you don't get a diploma on the wall, and if you do, it's not like that matters when you audition. It's not like, well, you have the diploma, so clearly you're in. It's really about what you're bringing to it and how you feel about it. So if I do think there are people who are like, oh, I'll be ready when I finish these classes, which is what I think is dangerous. I think that's a bit of it's a way of holding yourself back. Of people go like, oh, I'll be ready. I'm like, you're never ready. You will never feel ready. And it's not like when you're ready, then those things will appear. You have to believe you're ready now, and then those things come forward. So it's like if you think the class is going to make you feel confident, sure, that's great. But the class isn't going to get you the job. You're going to get you the job. And so it's just, the work is just never done. Like, there is always something new to learn, which actually, as opposed to being defeatist, I think that's exciting. Because it's not like it's an ever expanding scope. So it can, as deep as you want to go, you can keep going deeper, and there's no limit to what you can know or how proficient you can be, and to what new tools you can bring into your toolbox. But I think if you're quantifying it with like, oh, classes means work, no, it's not the same thing. They're not necessarily in correlation.
Yeah.
But if classes make you feel good, great. Not all classes are for all people. You can take classes and feel pretty crappy at the end of them, and it's just not the right vibe. Or you can be lucky like me, who stumble into like acting improv 101 after already being in the industry for 20 years, and it rejuvenates your love for what you're doing. So I think maybe the answer to all of that is just staying curious.
Yeah. And I mean, you answered already, I think, my next question, but I would love to know, because the vast majority of people who listen to this show are people who are getting into acting or a more creative career later on in life. They've had their first act, quote, quote. Now they are hoping to get back into acting, as most of us did a lot in high school, and then we kind of tunnel vision focused our way through, like, a logical, pragmatic career that our parents approved of. Do you have any advice then for people who are interested in exploring that and are kind of nervous because it's very vulnerable?
It is very vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable occupation, and but the thing I'll say is that I've met lots of people who've come into this profession late, late on whoever's timeline you're talking about. Like it's so arbitrary, and the best time to start is now, and if it's something that you love, it's not labor. It's something that you love. It's something that you want to do. So if it's based on expectations of like, oh, I want to be on TV, or I want to, if it's about the result, then it's more challenging. If it's about the process, then there's nothing holding you back. My favorite story about people coming to acting late in life is I was doing a TV show called Flash Gordon, and we had this magical sci-fi thing happen, and a character aged instantly to be in his 90s. And so we got this like 92-year-old guy to come in and be that guy. And I asked him, so how long you been acting? He goes, oh, about 5 years now. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I was a lawyer and I retired at 87 because I kind of needed to retire. And then I started acting because I always wanted to be an actor. And he was great.
Oh my God.
And so you have this man, he's 92, and he'd only been acting for 5 years. And he was having a blast. And it was something that he always wanted to do. He always felt a calling to it, but he had a law practice that he had done his entire adult life. And then in retirement found acting, and then found joy and purpose in that. So it is never too late. It is absolutely never too late. And I think if it's something that speaks to you and you enjoy, like there's so many different ways of doing it. There's doing small theater, there's doing big theater, there's doing classes and having a blast in those. Like I think that often we get caught up into I need the external validation in order to feel like what I'm doing is worth it. But if you feel good at the end of the day and you enjoyed that process of being there, then nobody can take that from you. Measuring it on the success of like, how many likes it gets or how many people view it, or, is the show critically acclaimed? It's like, well, did you enjoy being there? That's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think, well, again, it's hard when the craft that you do is so. You kind of do need to be validated as an artist. It's not like you have like a painting on the wall being like, do you love my painting? And if somebody says no, you're like, that's fine. You still like me, right? But like acting, it's like, it is all you. If you hate me and my acting, it's almost one and the same. Yes.
I will say the thing I love about this the most, and the most challenging thing about it, is a painter can paint a picture. A singer can sing, a musician can play, maybe you get a band, a photographer can take a picture. Acting by yourself is really weird, and not a lot of people go to see that. You need a community and a group of people to do it in a way that is satisfying for a lot of us. You have to be doing it in a group. And in order to do that, you need somebody to say yes to doing that with you. And probably the easiest way to do it is make your own group, because then you don't have to wait on anybody else to say yes. You're saying yes to yourself, and you're saying yes to other people, and other people love being told yes. But that's the hardest thing. I still struggle with that. Like you just want to be playing the game with the other people, right? But like, I can't think of. I think particularly film and television, I can't think of a better expression of human creativity. And I know that sounds like people are like, whatever. But the reason is because you have so many people with different skill sets in different departments who are unseen by the camera or unseen by that are bringing their expertise to the table. They are collaborating creatively. They are problem solving in the moment. And this person could be an ex-con, and this person could have their MBA, and this person could have been in the industry for 50 years, and this person could have just walked in and it's their first day. And you're all collaborating as creative humans to solve the problem of that day and tell a story. And to me, that's pretty remarkable. And at the end of the day, you put it on a screen and it's freaking magic. People are transported to this other place. and they hopefully believe it. But the experience of creating and collaborating with sometimes 100 people in a day, that's phenomenal. Like, it's the only creative team sport I can think of.
It's the only career that I've ever heard of that this happens in a way that is like so. I don't want to, like, maybe is joyful the right word? I don't know, because like, yeah, I work in the operating room. You get a lot of team sports and stuff like that.
Yep.
But there's something about being on set where everyone is legitimately trying to do the group project together.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, the one person who's just tagging along for the grade.
Yeah.
It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, when it all works, it's remarkable. It's magic. Like
magic.
it's just magic. And it's not always that. I'm romanticizing this here because it's like I think maybe I'm a little romantic about it all, but there's days that suck and it sucks for everybody and nobody wants to be there, but those happen. But again, just the construct of it, the intention of it is just people coming together and collaborating and being creative, and what comes out of that is so much greater than one person's idea or one person's vision. It has to work together, and that's just magic.
Yeah, I love that. Now, I have to touch on, as a medical doctor, I gotta ask you about the Nick.
Yes, please. Yes, please ask me about this. I mean, I could probably like barrage you with questions and questions and questions because I found the whole medical world fascinating. Medical history was mind-blowing and a little unnerving. And then I left that show way too confident that I could remove your gallbladder. I'm just saying, way too confident that I
went through medical training and I ended up being like, I bet I could. I work in sports medicine. No.
Yeah. But I don't know. I felt pretty confident I could get the job done if I needed to.
50,000 feet above, if you're in a Boeing jet, I'm sure you could.
100%. I'm like, I could do that.
I could do it. Yeah. It's one of those shows, and I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about different medical shows, and everyone always asks, is it? Tell me about ER. Are they doing it right? Tell me about Grey's Anatomy. Where I think what's so great is that it's like, tell me about the Nick. Is it real life? I'm like, I couldn't tell you. I wasn't. I don't know, but it is ranked. I would say in my medical colleagues, it's one that we all go, oh yeah, you have to watch that. Well done.
Well, thank you. For any listeners who don't know the show is set in the Knickerbocker Hospital in the year 1900. It's starring Clive Owen, and all 20 episodes were directed by Steven Soderbergh. And so it was kind of a marvel of filmmaking because we had such talented people running the show. But the medical history side and the things that we were actually doing were real. And I think the writers gave themselves a 3-year window of things that were discovered and things that of current practices that were done. So the diligence of the authenticity of what we were doing is about as good as you can get. And our medical advisor would walk us through it. And then the prosthetics theme alone, there was a couple days it was a little too real. And the first surgery we did, which is in episode 1, which is a placenta previa, which is when the placenta covers the uterus hole the cervix in order to be able to get the baby out. But we're like, we're gonna do a C-section. We're gonna know what this is. We're gonna be able to cut the baby out and save the young girl here. And that prosthetic rig was incredible. And so you run your scalpel across and it starts bleeding. And it was all built, I'm blanking on his name now, which is unfortunate, but he was an incredible artist. He made full prosthetics, human bodies, for Johns Hopkins to use as stand-ins for cadavers to be able to walk things through. He was remarkable. And so when we cut open that belly, ooh, I just lost my light. There you go.
Storm's brewing.
No, it's the cat. The cat.
Oh.
It's the cat. But when we cut open that belly and blood just flowed, my stomach flipped because it was very real. And not like I was going to throw up, but it was just like this very human reaction to seeing somebody bleeding profusely. And the kind of panic that went around the surgical table by all of us to get this bleeding stopped felt very real. It was very alive. Like, there wasn't a lot of imagination that had to be used for us because it all felt very real. Wow. And it was a really remarkable experience. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved practicing my sutures on the little practice skin. And I went to reading medical history books was fascinating.
Oh yeah.
And it really made me respect the medical community, because you have to be brave. You can't do it and not be brave, because there's always going to be more to know. There's always going to be, hindsight's going to be 20/20, and it's not always going to paint you in a good light, because you're only basing what you're doing with the best available information, and that information is going to change. So these doctors they were doing what the best that they thought they could do, and history tells us you kind of had that wrong. But it was a remarkable experience.
Yeah. I mean, it was the show that I always kind of like touchstone when I talk to patients about, this is a practice of medicine. It's called your medical practice.
Yeah.
Think about that word. Like, we're just practicing here.
Yeah.
We're just practicing. Like, look at what they did not that long ago.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
Yeah. Like, understanding how far we've come.
Yeah.
But then also thinking, like, in 100 years, we're going to look back and like, wow, we were doing some pretty archaic, barbaric things.
Totally.
But again, it's the best information we have.
Yeah.
It was, it made everything feel very human. You know what I mean? And, I grew tremendous respect for the medical community through all that. I'd still love to play another doctor. Like, I loved it. Like, I really loved it. It was great. And I would happily do it again. And even like the medical jargon, I loved learning it. And like, what does this mean? And how do I say this? And what's the pronunciation of this? And like, what do you mean there's different pronunciations? It's like kind of whatever you feel. And it was a lot of fun.
It's really fun. And again, I think any type of show that involves a specific career, people who are in that career, we love it to a point of like, we love to correct when people are wrong.
Sure.
But I think, especially as someone, like, I've done a lot of medical consulting on shows. I've never gotten to play a doctor, played a nurse.
Strange.
But, right?
Like,
Thank
that's
you.
really in your wheelhouse.
Just a lot in my wheelhouse.
Just a little bit.
I mean, I played a nurse many times. But it is really... What I naively, when I got into this industry, I was like, oh, I'm going to be auditioning for doctor all the time. I can speak the language. It's my jam. But then you walk in and you're like, right, you also can speak the language. I could also learn how to speak Dothraki if I wanted to, right? It's that actor commitment that when I watch actors on set play doctors, I'm like, oh, of course you can be just like real doctors. I don't know why my dumb head was like, nah, I'm better at it than an actor. No.
Yeah, well, I do know who I'd want suturing me. That's for sure. Not anybody pretending to do it. I would much prefer.
What? Every time I've done surgical hand doubling, I almost get myself out of a job because I'm showing the actor how to do it, and you get really good at it. And I'm like, well, you don't need me anymore. Doing it. All right.
Well, let's say I'm going to let you set my broken limb. How about that?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Deal.
We can learn to do the fancy tying, but I'll let you set the limb.
Do you have, you kind of mentioned some, but I always love to ask the question of, do you have any funny or favorite moments on set or just times in your career that really stick out to you?
Oh my goodness. There's I think every show almost has something that you take away from it, like a funny story or a crazy day but I've been, from my first television show where I fell into the camera, which was very, very embarrassing. I worked, I was 14 years old. I worked with a 1,400-pound grizzly bear. Like that is an amazing life experience beyond being in the movie. Being in the presence of a massive grizzly bear, being 10 feet away from it was incredible. Speaking of sort of like, medical side of things, that was when I learned that my brain and my body don't always talk. So I was sitting there, and the bear came out, and we were all ready to go. And the director goes, "All right, Eric, I need you to take 3 steps closer." And the bear's on his mark, just happily there. And he's like ginormous, like his head is like this big, massive. And the director goes, "Just Eric, take a few more steps forward." I'm like, "Yep." "Eric, we need you to just take a couple steps forward." I'm like, "Absolutely." "Eric, we're going to need you to take a step forward." Like, "Yeah." And I realized my feet were not moving. Like, whoa. My brain was going, "Yeah, I'm walking forward." My body's like, "No, you don't walk towards grizzly bears. That's how you die, kid." And it was like, I had to like look at my feet and make them go, because just thinking it was not going to make it happen. It was like too much survival instinct was taking over and overriding the intellectual brain. It's like, no, you're not walking closer to the bear, kid.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's so funny because I've talked to several fight directors and intimacy coordinators on this show. And in both instances, in staged intimacy, staged fighting, all of them say, just remember, your brain doesn't know what's fact or fiction.
Yeah.
It's responding fight or flight or whatever. Am I attracted to this person, even though it's completely fake and you're surrounded by grips and blah, blah. Yeah. Your brain doesn't know the difference. It's incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
Incredibly stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's because I've made a career of playing a lot of awful people. And when I was younger, playing awful people was, it was fine. Like, I didn't really think about it. I did these things. It was playing pretend. And as I've gotten older, I've also played worse and worse people. But it hits different. It hits different at the end of the day. And the body doesn't know any different. Like, so, from when I'm, losing my temper or being really intimidating or being, physically abusive to somebody, it's like, oh, you gotta have like a big old deep breath and, make sure that you're connected to your other performer. And I just had to do a scene that, I'm saying awful things and being awful and yelling and just a horrible person. And I went up to my scene partner beforehand, and I said, I think I'm saying this mostly for me, but I'm really sorry for what I'm about to do. I'm really sorry for what you have to hear. I'm really sorry for what this next hour of our life is going to be, because it's going to be a lot, but I trust you, and hopefully you trust me, and I'm going to do the best I can, and I still care about you and want you to be okay at the end of the night. And it's challenging stuff, but you come away at the end of the day, and ideally everybody goes home feeling good about themselves and good about the work, but you got to go to some dark places, and you got to. I'll tell you the most interesting thing for me as an actor, that playing bad people, playing people who are the bad guy sort of thing, has been a lesson in empathy like no other. Because as an actor, I feel like you can't be judging the character you're playing. Right. You have to understand it. You have to empathize. Why? You have to answer the question, why? Why is this person doing this? Why is this person behaving this way? And if you just say, "Oh, it's because they're a bad guy," well, there's no. That's just a write-off. That's a cop-out. Like, you got to really understand why somebody's behaving the way they do, whether they're a good person or a bad person. It gives it depth, and it makes it human as opposed to a stereotype. Yeah. And what that's given me is given me massive amounts of empathy to other people who do make horrible choices or do horrible things, and understand that it didn't come out of that moment. It's built up over years and maybe decades of issues in their own life that have led to that moment. And it's been, I think acting has given me more in my life than I can ever give back to it, because of what it reveals about people and how it's helped me grow as a human.
Wow. That's powerful. My goodness. Is there anything you are looking forward to?
I look forward to lots of things.
Yeah.
I'm always looking forward to things. And like, there's always something new. It's never the same day. You know, it's never the exact same words. It's never the exact same show. And even when you are doing a show and they're all kind of similar and stuff like that, it's never the exact same. And there's a new challenge and a new way to approach it. And, you know, it's like I could look at a monologue that I did, you know, when I first started, and I was, you know, 9 years old or 15 years old, and I could do that same monologue now and it would be so different than what I brought to it then. So I'm always excited. I'm excited about, you know, new technology. I'm excited about new formats, and I'm doing my first audiobook.
Oh,
and like,
cool.
I've always wanted to do an audiobook. And so, like, you know, like, there's always something new, and so yeah, I'm excited about a lot of things.
That's awesome. I was like, please, is it going to be in the voice of that Splinter Cell guy?
Right. That's a little gruff. I don't know if I could do 8 hours in a booth with that low, but you know, we'll see.
Are you allowed to say what book it is or not yet?
Yes. Yes, I am. I'm very excited about this because it is, believe it or not, part of the Star Wars franchise.
Oh.
And it was it's a novel based off a character I played in the game Star Wars Outlaws.
Yes.
And so I will be voicing part of this audiobook along with Jay Rincon, who was also in the game with me. He played a character named ND5, and I played Jalen. And so I'm going to get to do this audiobook, which is called, let me get it right.
That's so fun.
I believe it's called, it's Star Wars Outlaws Low Red Moon by Mike Chen. And awesome. I'm super pumped for this. And I literally start tomorrow. So, that's very cool. It'll be a new experience. And then if it comes out and I'm not the voice of it, it means I did terrible and they fired me and, you know, I learned something.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's so exciting. Do you have any final words of wisdom or advice?
I think, you know, having been in this since I was a kid, and it's been a long time now, I think it's 35 years I've been working professionally, is that just stay curious and have fun. And the industry is hard, and it's not going to give you gotta give yourself what you need, because the industry can't do it for you. And, you know, I think I've learned that lesson the hard way so many times, of, you know, having a great time on a show and it comes out and nobody cares, or it gets panned and people hate it. And then that tainting my experience of it, and then me feeling bad. I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. It's out of my hand. It's out of your hands by that point. So focus on those things that you can control. And every time you get a chance to do it is that opportunity for you to control that and do that moment. It's not about having other people like what you do. It's about bringing yourself to what that is. And it's not always going to work. But if you take that opportunity that's there and you own that for yourself in that moment, you can walk away feeling really good. And I know we need the validation. I know we all want the job, and we all want to get we all want to get it's like going into the high school hallway and looking at the names on the list. Did I get to be in the play? We all want to be in the play. But if you can take joy out of that process of being in that room or sending in that self-tape, which can be really lonely and unsatisfying. But if you can take that hour and go like, this is my opportunity to do what I want here and love what I do, you're going to get a lot more out of it, and you're going to feel better about yourself, which then starts to turn into work. It's just kind of how it goes. But just find the parts that you control and love it, and stay curious, and it's never too late. Ever, ever, ever.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and thank you, Eric, for being my guest this week. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your incredibly busy schedule. Like I said, he is currently filming a massive TV series in Toronto right now. And I'm just so privileged and feel so honored that I got to chat with him and kind of pick his brain. And as you just heard and maybe saw, he's one of the kindest human beings I've ever had the pleasure of chatting with. So thank you, Eric, so much. It was such an honor to chat with you. You are absolutely wonderful. I know I'm now preaching to the converted. And I hope you all will tune in next week for another episode of Second Act Actors. Bye!